This movie come from many ideas about how the people not so young can face the future, and but also it's a movie about the memories and the relationship between the parents and the children, and mostly it's a movie about a conductor and a filmmaker. Yes.
Now, Michael, Paolo wrote this movie with you in mind, right? You were the conductor in his head.
When my agent said, I've got a script from Paolo Sorrentino for you, I didn't believe that. Because I didn't think he was on, I thought he was on, I'd seen all his movies, you know, and I'd just seen Great Beauty, and he'd won the Oscar for Best Foreign Movie. And I thought he was on a whole different plane from me, you know, and he wouldn't have heard of someone like me. So she said, also you said, you know, he wrote it for you, and if you don't do it, he won't do it. And I laughed, because I thought it was a joke. And it wasn't. So I nearly said it, I'll do it. I don't need to see the script, I'll just do it. But I said, send me the script. There's a little bit of professionalism snuck in. But I was so overwhelmed by the whole thing. And then when I read the script, of course, and I obviously wanted to do it, I would have done it for nothing, but I didn't tell them that. But I love doing it, and I love Paolo. And I also love the rest of this cast, who I think are absolutely brilliant.
Now, Rachel, I think under the best of circumstances, the scene, the scene, right, when you're covered in mud and you're giving your amazing monologue would be very difficult to do. But then I was reading about how even more difficult it was considering the circumstances of when you filmed it.
It's a beautifully written monologue, and it was my first night of filming. It was my first day, which was a night shoot, and it was 3 a.m., and we got covered in mud, and then Paolo just said, oh, we're going to do it in one take, which was a new piece of information, which is how Paolo works, I think, with everyone, in that there's no rehearsal, there's no discussion, you just do it. But to be told that a 3-page monologue will be in one take rather than 25 setups or whatever is bold. But it's that feeling that you just have to jump into the deep end with him. You learn your lines, so I did my homework, I'd learnt my lines, and then it was just time to do it. So he just pushes you into his big poem of a swimming pool. You just get pushed in. Yeah.
Your character was a character from the days in the studio system where you're under contract as a movie star. Now, did you take specific inspiration from specific actresses?
Not consciously, but I grew up knowing Barbara Stanwyck and Bette Davis, and because they were friends of my father's, and you know, I knew some of those divas in those studio days, and so I think that's kind of in my DNA. I think maybe Stanwyck the most, but it wasn't conscious. Mm-hmm. It's just Paolo knows exactly what he wants, and he tells you what to do, and you do it.
Now, David, how did you go about writing a simple song number 3? I mean, this is the song that means so much and has characterized this man's career for his life and has, you know, been both kind of the thing that hangs over him and the thing that defines him in a way. That's a lot of pressure for one song to do all those things. How did you create it?
Well, the interesting thing for me was that because music plays such a large role in the movie, everybody's music, not just Fred Ballinger's music, but music is so important in the movie. I had to write the song before the script was really finished, you know, because it was shot on screen. So a lot of this was working with a script, talking to Paolo, trying to figure out who this character was, what his journey was. And I sort of realized from reading the script that the song had to contain kind of both ends of his journey. It had to be where he began when he wrote it, when he was young and full of optimism and love and youth, and where he is at the end, where he's looking at the end and his wife is no longer able to be the same person she was to him at the beginning. So it had to be something that carried kind of the entire emotional weight of that journey that the character makes. So for me, the process was reading the script, thinking about it, thinking about my own life, getting hugely depressed and miserable, making versions of the song, sending them to Paolo, and Paolo sending them back and saying, "Oh, it's very nice, but can't you be more emotional?" So basically, Paolo challenged me to push it as far as I could push it. So I really appreciated that.
Was it very difficult to find the location, and how did you come about all that?
I have to say that I tried to push Paolo to go to north of Italy to shoot this, but and he did look scouting there, not finding what he was looking for, and so it was here in Los Angeles when we found some photographs of these hotels because there are two different hotels in Switzerland, in Davos and in Flims. And he said, "Yes, this is where I want to shoot." So we went there, and I tried to arrange a co-production with Switzerland, and I did it, and so it worked.
But that location played such an important part in the film. How did it affect your performances? Was it something that affected you in a way when you were filming it?
It affected us, all right, because it was holiday, it was out of season, and there was no staff in the hotel. There was no room service, there was no laundry and nothing like that. We went out and bought kettles and toasters to get snacks. And there was a hamburger place at the bottom of the hill. And there was a pizza place. So, we just kept walking up and down hills with the hamburgers and the pizzas. And we never gained any weight, so it was fine.
It was all part of the plan.
It was part of the plan, yeah.
Pizza or hamburger, Jane? Which one did you prefer?
No, for me, it was like it was just so bizarre being in this place that was empty, and then these endless tunnels, because it's primarily a ski resort in the wintertime, and now it's summer. So there are all of these long, white, underground tunnels that all look alike. I mean, I don't know about you all. I got lost so many times.
Can you imagine months later they find Jane Fonda just in this tunnel wandering around?
I mean, the gym wasn't even open, and all those places that they shoot all these great scenes in wasn't open. And then, I was wandering around this incredible place, thinking, where's he going to shoot this very intimate scene with me and Harvey? It's just two people talking, and I figured maybe in the little library or something. Then I found out it was going to be in the ballroom, which was like Versailles. In these two little chairs at one end and a ping pong table in them. What does that mean? I still don't know. What is that ping pong table all?
No, the ping pong table was there when I did the scouting location. And I said, okay, I don't love that the people work too much. So I said, no.
Clearly.
You can leave. It can stay here.
Now, Jane, how do you approach a part like that where it's few scenes but very memorable scenes? Do you approach a part like that differently than you would if you're on screen every scene?
I don't think so. I mean, I've never done this. I never did such a short amount of time in a film, and it's really fun to be, do it and be done with it, and then hang around and watch him work with all these people. But no, I mean, we did it, didn't we, Harvey? We did it one way from beginning to end, and then he said, now do it with no anger, and so we did that, and now do it really, really angry, and we did that. I mean, he had us he was conducting.
Now, Harvey, this is the first time you and Michael have worked together, and how is it forming, you have to form on screen this 30-year, 40-year relationship. Did you have time to rehearse? Paolo doesn't like to rehearse. Did you have time together before you started shooting?
Well, those themes that Paolo wrote about were very deep and very far-reaching, and nothing in those themes was foreign to me, and I suppose not for Michael either. And then we had this bond we like to laugh about, that Michael was in the British Army, I was in the American Marines, so we had a language of our own that was sort of X-rated. And
I found Michael an incredibly easy. I've got a dad. So I didn't have to research that. I have a dad who I have very strong feelings for, who's not a composer, but he's successful in his own right and lovable and impossible in equal measure. But Michael's a very, very easy person to form for me, we just formed a real heart connection really, really quickly. It wasn't hard work or a struggle, and we just, even on that spa scene where we first met, covered in mud, in between takes, we'd be making each other laugh, and Michael would tell me, look, Michael's had an extraordinary life. He's met so many people. He's worked with so many people. He's one of the great raconteurs. It's just listening to him tell stories. I could just be near him always and listen to his stories. So it was just a pleasure for me. He's easy to love, so easy to love.
I also have 2 daughters, you see, so I know exactly how to deal with the daughter in a movie. What you do is say, don't ever go out with him again. That's the main line for a father with daughters.